Hello YouTube! We've got some Vanguard catch-up to do. I actually missed last week because I was busy with some Riftbound stuff. But we have 2 weeks to do. So let's talk about it. We have a lot of DZ-14 stuff to discuss. We had 2 whole new Fantome decks get revealed. So let's talk about them. So first up we have we have Youthberk. Okay. So let's start from the bottom of the right line. So Mr. Youth, just a D starter, yada yada. Not Dragon Trait. um, Grade 1 Youth, when rode upon the grade 0, you look top 7 and get to add a Youthberk or a Crimson Moon to your hand. Good, it's like a +1 Rhythine. Doesn't have a whiff condition, which is a bit annoying. Like this is actually decently likely to whiff. Because it's only Persona Ride, your Reval Dress forms, and Crimson Moon, which is only 11 targets, which is pretty good, but like that will still whiff. That will still absolutely whiff. So that's annoying. Then we have grade 2 Youth. When rode upon by your grade 3 with Drake Dress, you Energy Blast 3, add a grade 2 or greater from drop back to hand. Same thing the grade 2 Youth always does. No surprises there. Then we have Youthberk, Drake Force Arms, Fantome, Persona Ride, Drake Dress. After the battle this unit attacks, you choose and ride up to 1 Drake form in your hand. It's saying from your hand in stand, it gets drive -2. If you rode, choose and ride this card from your soul in rest at the end of your turn. And then act once per turn. You discard a card, look at top 3, add a Drake Force or grade 2 or lower unit. And you add the Drake Force to hand, you call the grade 2 or less. And then you can discard the rest. If you don't, you put them back to bottom. So this is as you fill up the drop with your dragons. For this last effect, which is at the start of your main phase during this turn, you get when your Vanguard attacks during this battle, it gets power plus 1000 for each dragon in your drop. Since you, the player, are getting that will carry over to your Drake form. Dynast. Continuous in deck if you have a Vanguard with Youth in its name. When this gets revealed by the ability of Crimson Moon, this is treated as a Crimson Moon card, and therefore you will be able to add to hand instead of calling it, which is very, very nice. Very nice quality of life thing it has there. If this enters the Vanguard circle by the ability of Drake Dress, it gets all of the following. Your front row rears get plus 5k. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, it gets another plus 5k. Then you can counterblast 1. During this turn, this unit gets drive plus 1. And if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, in addition, it gets critical plus 1. Auto Vanguard once per turn when this attacks. Bind 1 or more and up to 2 Crimson Moons from your hand, soul, or drop. You retire the same number of rear guards as the amount you bound for this cost, not the total amount bound. And during this turn, all units in your front row get plus 5k. If there are 3 or more Crimson Moons binded, it gets another power plus 5k. So this is all right, but as we're going to see, this deck is going back to 4 attacks that the deck had before exists, which is not fantastic. The big thing that has going for it over normal Youth is this effect, because like one of the biggest problems with Youth is that the actual like initial grade 3 Youth swing was always pretty small. So this can give a significant boost to that attack and make it a real swing. However, that doesn't make up for being only 4 attacks, especially given that the pool of cards you have to work with in Dragon Empire is notably worse than it is in Keter, especially for Youth's needs. The Youth-specific support in recent sets in Keter has been very, very good, and you're going down to 4 attacks. Like, that's... And you can't, like, get the forms out of drop like you can with Exist. Like... but we'll go over the rest. Grade 2 Double Rare Obliterate Dragon. If you have a Great to Greater Youthberk, you Soul Blast 2 cards with Youth in its name, call it to rear, gets power plus 5k. When it enters to rear, counterblast 1, look top 7 for a Youthberk card. Reveal it out to your hand. If you don't, CC1. This is like just okay. The self-revival effect is pretty expensive, to be honest with you. That's actually pretty pricey. Like if you're persona riding every turn, that's no problem to maintain, right? But that's pretty pricey. It is pretty pricey. And its power isn't fantastic. Like your power gets supplemented here, of course, right? But in Keter, like you have a bunch of plus 10k attackers to work with that have good plussing effects, right? So this feels like a downgrade in that regard. Then another Great Shoot double rare. When your Great to Rear Greater Youthberk and its name attacks, this gets power plus 5k. So this will get power plus 10k over the course of the turn, which is nice. At the end of the battle that attacks, if your Vanguard entered with Dragdress this turn, you can retire this unit to draw 1. That's pretty alright. This isn't as good as like the Keter options the deck has access to, but this is pretty solid. This is like solid enough. Grade 1 rare, Banishing Claw Dragon. When discarded from deck or hand, other than battle phase, if you have a Great to Greater Youthberk Vanguard, Soul Blast 1, you may call it to rear. And on Guardian, it gets shield plus 5k if you have a Youth Vanguard. Being in Dragon Empire means that this obviously is going to draw comparisons to Bellicircro. Because that, like, the only upside this has over that is that when you mill, right, with the effect of the base youth, you can proc this, and when you get that off, that's pretty strong. But basically every other regard, it's just a worse belly. So it's really hard to justify. Grade 2 Vandalism Dragon. It counts as 2 cards when your cards count dragons in your drop. And it gets power plus 5k and shield plus 5k if you have a Great 3 or greater Youth Vanguard. True Scythe, when it's discarded from hand by the ability of your Great 3 or greater Youth Vanguard, put into soul, gets power plus 5k. Very bad. And that's it. So we have one more card to talk about here, actually. So in the next week's stream, they revealed this Dragon Empire Grade 1 that is like, it's general Fantome support, but it's also like, it seems like pretty specifically like piloted towards youth, but like the dragon part of it like still works like regardless in Alphard. When it's placed on rear from hand or by the ability of your Crimson Moon card, you look top 5, choose and discard up to 1 dragon and 1 order. So that's some really good deck thinning for no cost. Gets your moons into rotation, which Alphard especially really appreciates. This card is not Dragon itself. It's a Dragoroid. And it is looking for the whole Dragon, which this does not have. Yeah, so that's not great on that front. Let's talk about the second effect, though. The second effect is Rear Guardian. If there are 5 or more dragons in your drop, it gets Intercept and may intercept from the back row. If there is a Crimson Moon in your bind zone, it gets shield plus 5k. So obviously it is pretty good in Alphard and Youthberk, even though it doesn't have the dragon trait and thus is kind of annoying in that regard for youth. It's pretty good. It's like a really good card. It deck thins too. You care about those deck thins. It's a back row interceptor as well. As soon as you have a Crimson Moon in bind, it'll be a 10k back row intercept. Getting 5 dragons in your drop should not be a problem for Alphard either. Like you just like fill up your crits with dragon trait cards, and that's easy. Especially like you just have to make sure your crits and PGs are dragons so that this is easy to fulfill. But like yeah, it will work there too. Another place I kind of want to mention is that this card is actually pretty solid in Dodie, like original Dodie, focusing in on the double persona ride stuff, right? Because it's a card that gets to look top 5 and grab Scarlet Flame and chuck it in your drop for you to use for your double personas or to get into Dodie. So that's pretty good. One other thing I do want to note here while we're on this is that so the Crimson Moons, the Fantome decks really like Latifah type cards, right? Heathful type cards, right? Because you need to be running the Crimson Moon, and you can call those cards off the Crimson Moon and get even more value in your early game, right? They help you have a really, really good early game. It's one of the big appeals of the decks. Latifah isn't a dragon. Latifah is not a dragon, which is really not great. All right, so that's it there. That's it for youth. It just does not seem like it's worth playing this over Keter Youth. Keter Youth just seems better. This isn't like putting any real new spin on the deck. It's basically just doing the same thing as Keter Youth, and it's worse at it. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Brandgate. So Aelquilibra is cool, but we'll talk about him in a sec. I want to talk about the Zorga stuff first. So we got Monkey. We got a new gel genome. It is a grade 2, 10k, wins Alchemix, and your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater. That you can counterblast 1, drop this, and you call it from drop onto a rear and gets plus 9k, and then at the end of the turn you bind it. The end of turn bind is really annoying. I don't know why it has that part. It's really annoying because it's not that great of a 5th attack, but it does give Zorga 5 attacks. That was one of the missing pieces with the deck. It needed 5 attacks. The numbers are still really not there, but like 5 attacks gets you much closer to solving the puzzle. So that is appreciated. And then we got another researcher. So it has a normal researcher effect if there isn't something with this name. Oh. No, it's not quite the same. Because as far as I recall, the other ones were you put this in if you haven't put something into your order zone this turn. This one does not appear to have that clause. I'm gonna double check on this. Okay, no, it's the exact same clause as all the others. Freedom Duo just missed it. Okay, yeah. Okay, so you can't like put it in the same turn that you put in something else. You have to can't have the same name in here. And you didn't put an order in, but you shove it into order zone. You draw a card, cantrips itself immediately. If you have a card with the same name as this in your order zone, it gets shield plus 5k, so it's a 10k shield for all your extra copies, which is pretty nice. And then in the order zone, once per turn, you Soul Blast 1, look top 7, and you drop a Genome Gel from among them, which is pretty good for consistency, and you just get to do that every turn. That's really great. That's incredible deck thinning, too. A really good card. I still really like this Zorga deck. It just has the big problem of the card advantage, right? The card advantage is just not really there, and it's just lacking that. Not card advantage, sorry. It has spades of card advantage. What the hell am I talking about? I completely misspoke there. It's the numbers. It's the numbers. The numbers aren't really there. It's going to be really hard for you to close out games with this deck. And until that changes, it's probably not going to get a lot better. Like, that's the thing that really needs to change with this deck. It needs numbers. It needs offensive pressure. It just doesn't really have that right now. All right. Deck's really cool. I still like it a lot. I still really, really like this deck. All right, let's talk about Aelquilibra. So Aelquilibra Fantome is from manga. I kind of suspected this might happen because like there was a lot of space for more Fantome decks in DZ-14. They'd established all this generic stuff. It was like, okay, it would make a lot of sense to do the manga stuff already, right? That would also make sense of why the manga is already coming out. It's on a like 2 chapters a month schedule so that you can market these decks quickly enough for their DZ-14 release, right? That makes sense. So Aelquilibra, let's start from the bottom of the ride line as per usual. So just a D starter. Then we have, where's the grid one? There's the grid one. So when it rides on top of this grade 0, you reveal a grade 3 Alk from your ride deck. You look top 7, and you get to add a product or a Crimson Moon card to your hand. So this can whiff, same as the Youth. This should have 16 targets, so it's better in that regard. In the typical build I expect you'll be playing. And then in the Soul, if you have a grade 3 or greater Aelquilibra Vanguard, you put this into the order zone, and then you choose and put 1 product card from your drop zone into your order zone. So this alone as a ride line piece is insane. We're gonna get into it, but the products in this deck are basically just units. They will be most of your units on the board. Your Aelquilibra will be calling them out, operating them, and then they turn into units, right? So what this card actually translates to is on ride, you get to look top 7, add one of your pieces to hand, right? And then, when you hit grade 3, you get to effectively Soul Blast it out, and revive a rear. It's effectively what it's doing. That's in essence what that card is doing. This is a grade 1 Rhythine piece that is on its own every single game, outside of the ones where you whiff on the top 7, of course, going +2. It is getting you 2 cards. Really strong. Incredibly good. Then the grade 2 Rhythine piece is just as good. So this is when rode upon by a grade 3 Aelquilibra, you put into Order Zone, and you search for any product card and add to your hand. Alright? Alright. So that's a +1. Right. And then, when it's on your Vanguard circle, on that turn 2, you get to reveal grade 3 Aelquilibra, from the ride deck, and then you operate a product from your Order Zone. As we've established, those products are rear guards. They will be coming out as rear guards. And here's something very important. The grade 2, let's just scroll over to it real quick. Talk about it briefly. We're not going to go over the whole card. We're only really going to talk about some brief details here. It was specifically its operate effect. When you operate this card, you call it onto rear. Oh wait, no, this is the wrong one. That's the grade 3. This is the grade 2. Okay. When you operate it, you call into rear as a 10k power, 10k shield, critical 1 normally with intercept. And if you called it, you get to draw a card. Alright? Alright, do we understand this? Okay. Okay. So, if we've seen that grade 2 at all, we get to put it into our Order Zone, right? These can be put into the Order Zone normally, right? Yeah, the restriction is only on operating them. Okay. So the restriction is only on operating them. So you just turn 2, you slap it into your Order Zone, right? Then you use this free operate effect, call it out, you get a rear guard with 10k shield, and you draw a card. And then when this card is in the Order Zone, it's treated as a set order that gives all of your rears with the archetype name intercept and may intercept from back row. That's so good. This is like a +4 Rhythine. It's insane, especially compared to all the other Fantome Rhydines that have been like +1s at best. Youth can go +2 and Alphard can go +2, but all the others were +1, and this is like effectively +4. It's insane. It's crazy. And like you can get so much value out of this in Order Zone effect as well. Into any deck that isn't mass retiring, you're going to get a shit ton of value out of this effect. It's crazy. Like, this is an actually absurd Rhythine. But yeah, it's just absolutely absurd Rhythine. Like, I keep coming back to this Rhythine, just thinking about how crazy it is. Because, like, this is so high quality. You get so many cards just for going through your Rhythine. It's so nutty. Alright. Next, let's talk about the grade 3, of course. So, act once per turn, you reveal 1, 2, 3 product orders from your hand. You put all of those cards into the Order Zone, and you get to draw a card. If you put 2 or more, you're going to get power +5k. Really great. Really helps you easily get your setup. Act once per turn, you counterblast 1, soul blast 1. Choose the same number of products with Lab in their different card names from your Order Zone. Up to your opponent's Vanguard's grade. So, like, basically, if your opponent's grade 2, you get to operate 2 of them. If your opponent's grade 3, you get to operate 3, right? And you operate them. And so you just get to put 2 to 3 bodies, like, very similar to, like, what Androl does, or, like, kind of similar to what Heartley does. That's really great. You don't have, like, an inherent resource loop, but you have a bunch of ways to get the ores back into rotation once you intercept them away, right? And they're going to be providing a lot of shield value too, as we'll get into. Then you, as the Fantome skill, act once per turn, bind 1 Crimson Moon from your hand, soul, or drop. Choose up to the same number of rear guards with overcharge abilities and different names up to your opponent's Vanguard. It's great. So if there are 2, you do 2. If there are 3, you do 3. And during this turn, this gets power plus 5k. During this turn, they get power plus. Yeah, why does Freedom Dose say 3k? This is clearly 5k. Anyways, if you chose 3 or more, so basically your opponent's at grade 3 or greater, you get to give it drive plus 1. So that's really, really solid. Reminds me a lot of Android. Incidental draw in here as well, which is also very nice. Just print boards, really solid stuff. All right, let's talk about those orders. So first, the double rare is the grade 2. We already talked about these a bit. So they all have this continuous clause, which is they can only be operated by the ability of a Fantome, so you can't be using these in Welstra. When it gets revealed by the ability of a Crimson Moon from the deck, it's treated as a Crimson Moon card, so you can target it. And then you put it into the order zone instead of adding it to hand. So they just go directly there. Very, very nice quality of life. Yeah, that's really fantastic. Actually, let me double check something about Crimson Moon. Okay, yeah, since they use the Crimson Moon clause of the card, that means that these are able to be put into your order zone, even though you're not at, even when you're like below that grade. So like there's a grade 3 one, you could get off Crimson Moon into your order zone on your turn 2. You could get the grade 2 one into your order zone off of Crimson Moon on when you're on grade 1, right? So that's very nice quality of life. That's super good. Then we already talked about this operate. So when you operate it, it becomes a rear with 10k power, 10k shield. Very nice. Critical 1, intercept, and immediately draws you a card. Very good. And then its overcharge effect is when it attacks, and it was chosen by your grade 3 or greater Aelquilibra Vanguard this turn. It gets once per turn, when your Vanguard attacks, you can Energy Blast 3, stand this, and if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, it gets power plus 10k, and then it gets plus 5k separate from that red text. So it is going to be a 15, but it's actually going to be more than that. Let's talk about the grade 1 before we talk about the grade 3, because the grade 1 is very important. So the grade 1 has this continuous clause, of course. When you operate it, you call it to a rearguard circle as a 8k power, 5k shield, critical 1 normal unit with boost, and you choose an opponent's grade 3 or greater Vanguard and give it power minus 5k. So we're still doing the power reduction stuff that operate is known for, and that means that effectively every attack is actually plus 5k, right? So that means that the restander is effectively no, it's actually effectively 25. I forgot about the overcharge boost. So like gets plus 5k from its own effect, right, from being targeted. Gets plus 5k from the overcharge, and then it's effectively another plus 5k because of the minus 5k that this gets, right? So it's 25. That's great. With a boost that hits 33, on the second swing, it's going to hit 35. Great numbers. Those are the sort of numbers we really want to be seeing. And then the overcharge effect of this thing is once per turn, when it's chosen by the ability of your grade 3 or greater Aelquilibra Vanguard, and your opponent has 4 less cards in the damage zone, and you Persona Road this turn, you get to ping your opponent for 1. And then you cannot use this overcharge ability of this card name for the rest of the fight. That's really good. Burn damage is extremely strong. It's one of the strongest effects you can possibly have in this game. That's really strong. That's really, really good. Yeah, this card's crazy. This card's so good. And then we have the grade 3 that has the same continuous clause. When you operate this card, you call it as a 13k power, 5k shield. It has 5k shield despite being a grade 3, so you can still intercept with it for value. It's fantastic. And if you have a grade 3 or greater Aelquilibra Vanguard, during this turn, it gets power plus 10k. Then its overcharge effect is when it's chosen by your Aelquilibra grade 3 or greater Vanguard. During this turn, this gets critical plus 1. So to recap, what we were looking at is a deck with 4 attacks, not 5 unfortunately, but one of those attacks is going to be crit plus 1. That crit plus 1 swing has no restriction that prevents it from just being your first swing of the turn. Then your Vanguard's you're gonna swing with the restander after that. Then your Vanguard is going to swing with drive plus 1 as well. And also, the moment you Persona Ride, you're going to have a ping effect. This is a lot of really, really strong offensive pressure. Really incredible stuff. This effectively hits 33 solo, by the way, by the nature of overcharge into minus 5k. So that's really great as well. Those are good numbers to be hitting. It's not like it's not like out of this world numbers. It's like the numbers that you need, but these are really good numbers, especially in a deck that is forming like your entire board can intercept, because your entire board is going to be Labes, right? So everything on your board can intercept, and that's really fantastic. That's really good. We have a couple more cards to talk about here. Let's talk about the grade 2 because it's not that good. The Fusion Dragon, when it attacks and you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Aelquilibra in its name, it gets power plus 5k. At end of battle, Soul Blast 1, retire it. Add a product card from your drop and put into your order zone. This is all right. The biggest problem with this card is that there's no spot in the front row for it. It's not realistically going in over the crit plus 1 attacker or the multi attacker. Even in the stage of the game where the opponent's at 5, the crit plus 1 is still just going to be hitting harder than this is. So it's hard to see this card making the cut in the deck because there's just no space on the field for it, right? The grade 1, on the other hand, the grade 1 support card, where are you? Triple Rare, Fairbarized Dragon. This card is really good. So when it's placed from hand, you counterblast 1, and you get to add back 2 products, up to 2 products from your drop to your hand, which you can then use for the Aelquilibra effect, which is then going to draw you a card as well. Yeah, so like the from hand restriction is a bit annoying, especially in the context of Crimson Moon. You can't really use it with Crimson Moon, which is a bit annoying. It's a bit unfortunate that that's the case, but that's like completely fine. That's completely fine. Because like, and you have a decent amount of draw effects, and anytime you just get to call this from hand, it's just CB1, print more guys. like worst case, it's setting you up for a future turn while letting you draw a card off of Aelquilibra. Like, it's really good. It's really, really good. And then it has an overcharge effect, naturally, because we need another overcharge effect somewhere in the deck, ideally, because we can only use the grade 1 products overcharge effect a single time. After this battle that this unit boosted, and if this was chosen by a grade 3 or greater Aelquilibra Vanguard, you put it into Soul, you look top 5, and get either a set order or a Crimson Moon to your hand and shuffle your deck. There's no whiff condition here, but that's like completely fine because it's just a bonus you don't really need. Like, if you don't need those cards, then you can just go, okay, I'm just going to keep this in my back row, and it's just going to be able to intercept for 5k. And that's going to be fine. Yeah, this deck is really, really nice. I like this deck a lot. I think this deck really has legs. Its big weakness is that it's going to struggle into decks that mass retire. It's going to struggle with that. Because a lot of its shield value is coming from the field. I kind of wish the set orders had their shield value in the hand. That would be really, really nice. It's a bit unfortunate they don't have that, but like, it's fine. These are really fantastic cards. I really love this deck. This might be my favorite Fantome deck. It's really sick. I like it a lot. Okay. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Okay. So, this Tuesday was the 15th anniversary stream. There was a bunch of merch stuff. I don't really care about that. The big announcement was DZ-BT14. This is basically our festival set for the month, for the year. Sorry, it's not called festival. It's called Legendary Vanguards, and it's going to be doing more icon decks and such stuff like that. So we have Young Yu with a new Nirvana. I would expect this to support original Overdress. And then we have icon decks with Image Ride versions of Chronojet and Shinamon, which have the whole thing where, like, hey, this is like how they imagine themselves using this unit, right? That's why Uranus has like Shin's hair color and eyes. And that's why Chronojet has Chrono's eyes and a bit of his hair popping out. So that's cool. I do have like some slight concerns that the Chronojet will be a V style Chronojet, whereas like main deck striding stuff. I really hope it's not. I think it's most likely that this will end up building off of the existing Chronojet stuff. Give it new strides to work with, stuff like that. Maybe dive into some a year 2G stuff so that we can get Time Leap going. That would be really cool. But we'll just have to see how it pans out. We got some information on how these packs will be split, which is there will be 3 new such reprint cards, and then 2 for the legendary Vanguard decks. So these. They also gave us a split of how the card list will be distributed. It's 60 new cards and 40 reprints. That's a lot of space. They also mentioned that Aichi and Kai icon decks are going to be getting support here, which is pretty natural. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff with this. This is neat. This is neat. I don't mind these at all. I do like the icon decks. I do really like them. I really like the Aichi and Kai decks, and I'm kind of excited to see more. I don't like these, so I don't really care for Astro Poets. But that's fine. That's fine. If they give Chronojet Persona 1, I'm gonna be real mad. With this, like I feel like even more confident that DZ-15 is gonna be like, okay, here's some more fighter icon decks for Misaki and for Kamui and maybe Ren too. Ren is just a bit complicated because both Misaki and Ren are Keter Sanctuary. And then like if we're doing Crow here, I think it makes a lot of sense that like sometime this year is when we're going to get the Asha Outmiles dry deck sets, probably with some structure changes, and probably made into fighter icon decks. But it would make a lot of sense for this to be the year where we get Outmile and Asha finally. And I wouldn't be surprised if the reason we haven't really been getting Stride deck sets lately was because they were holding that for the 15th anniversary. One thing I do really want to note here, and also there's a serialized pure gold blaster blade. Only the Japanese version apparently. Lame. But one thing I do want to note is nothing they announced in this 15th anniversary stream is like further than like May. What that indicates to me was that like this 15th anniversary stream was not originally planned, was only because of the backlash, and they were just like, okay, we'll pull out stuff we were going to originally announce in our strategy presentation in spring, and we'll announce them here instead. Nothing going past May is like really suspicious that there will be more there coming later this year. Like that's the read I have on it. All right. And promo pack. Last thing we have to talk about is the promo pack. So Reese's reprint again, Dragon Tree reprint. And then this is one of the made sub archetype for Brandgate. Those are neat. Then Freedom Doe doesn't have them up, so I have to just use the wiki. So this is the best card in the promo pack. Stealth Beast Arakitsune. When it's placed on rear, if you have a Shoujo Doji Vanguard, you put a normal unit with stealth from your drop into its soul. That's pretty good. When this is put into soul from rear during the battle phase, you counter blast 1 or energy blast 2. And until end of turn, all of your units with stealth in their card names that were placed from bind zone on rear or guardian circle get power plus 5k, shield plus 5k, and you cannot use the auto ability of this card again. Oh, I just noticed this is only until end of that turn. That's actually significantly worse. Man, I did on first read. I actually did think this extended to your opponent's turn, which meant you got really good value out of like Rhino and Kunai. But like that's still fine because like an additional plus 5k on everything you call out of bind is like a really big deal for Shoujo Doji for getting over the hump of like damage triggers and such. It really helps your numbers a ton. So this is a really big deal. Especially since you can combine it with Ogi. Yeah, this is a really, really good card. Even with that slight misunderstanding, this is still a crazy good card. Easily the best card in the promo pack. Then we have Reduus for Sacrifice Glass. In drop, if you have a Great Rigger or Sacrifice Glass Vanguard, you Soul Blast 2, call it to rear, and both this and your Vanguard get plus 5k. That's pretty solid. And your Great Rigger Grand Dogma Vanguard is placed. If your opponent's Vanguard is Great Rigger, you put a card from hand into soul, and you make your Vanguard's drive 1, and then at the end of that turn, you bind this unit. So that allows you to have more drive checks earlier, have a bit more pressure. That's pretty nice. Grand Armed Robo Earth Digger. It's Rotovisor support. I kind of love Rotovisor support because Rotovisor is so like explicitly a gold Rutile retrain. So I do love it for that reason. So grade 1, this cost can also be paid with Energy Blast 2 and Resident Arena in your Ore Zone. When it's placed on rear outside of the battle phase, even if it Rotovisor Vanguard, you Counterblast 1. Choose a non-sentinel Battle with a different card name from this unit and grade less than or equal to your Vanguard from drop, call it to rear. So this works early game, which is very, very nice. The alternative cost doesn't even make you wait until you're on grade 3, which is super cool. That's usually how those work. And back or rear when your unit in the same column as this attacks if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard and or arena in your Ore Zone was rest for this battle. The attacking unit gets power plus 5k. So it's also static crack on top, which is very, very nice. Yeah, this is super good. This is incredible card. Rigorous Roar Dragon. This is Ezel support. In drop, if you have a grade 3 or greater Ezel Vanguard, you Energy Blast 3, look top 7, you choose an Ezel from among them, put it into your hand, and then return this card to deck and shuffle it. And then if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Ezel in its name, it gets boost. And if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, it gets, when this attacks or boost, you may have this get plus 5k. And at the end of the battle, it goes into Soul. This is alright. This doesn't seem like the best card in the universe. Oh no. It kind of seems just like alright. 15k boost is pretty good, but not like sacrifice itself at end of battle good. But like you probably need to clear, if I recall how Ezel's attack patterns work, you do need to clear the way for superior calls. So like I guess that works out. Onslaught Surf Dragon. This is Maelstrom support. When it's placed on rear, you either reveal Maelstrom from your ride deck, or if you have a grade 2 or greater Maelstrom already on Vanguard, you Counterblast 1, look top 7. You either add Blue Storm or Mana, or up to 1 unit card with only Aquaforce in its clan, or Tear Dragon in its race. That is different card name from this card. Put into your hand and shuffle your deck. And you get to add 2 cards off that. So that's, if you hit Blue Storm or Mana, you get to add 2 off that. So that's really good. That's very similar in quality to the Turbo Rare that Blitz got recently, that Welster got recently. And on attack, if you have a grade 3 or greater Maelstrom Vanguard, this gets power plus 5k. And if it's the 4th battle of this turn or more, and no drive checks were performed for the battle your rear guard attack this turn, you put this into Soul, and you put a card from hand into Soul, and this performs drive checks this turn. That seems pretty alright. This seems like a really, really solid card. But I'm not super familiar with Maelstrom, so I might be off base with that. But that seems really good. That's a lot of good effects on that. Then Lucid T for Medial. I do not remember which deck Medial is. Which lyrical deck is this? Which one is this? Oh, this is the gotcha deck. Okay, this V Great Nature. Okay. It's placed on rear if you have a Vanguard with Medial in its card name. Counterblast 1, look top 2, choose a card from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest into Soul, or discard it. So you can't even break the top with this. That's a bit annoying. And then you, when your grade 3 or greater Medial Vanguard attacks, Energy Blast Drain stand this unit. It's a restander. That's pretty good. I don't know how the power numbers are in Medial, but like restanders are pretty solid. Yeah, but I believe that's it. That's all our catch up. Card of the day has not come back yet, so that made the catch up pretty easy. We got it done in 38 minutes. All right. This is Hunter Search. See you guys later.